It is called Postal. The blood and the mayhem of Postal could be a shock.
The makers of this game say they're going to be very careful and market it for mature audiences only. Just how mature is anyone's guess.
Despite the controversies, this game is very close to my heart. Back when I was a young console scrub, this was the very first PC game I ever played. Popping a head off with a shovel? Hell yeah. Pissing in people's mouths? Get out of here. So I grabbed my mum's laptop, found a demo on a dodgy looking website and downloaded it. Sorry about that, mum. You've probably got a keylogger now. But right or wrong, the franchise has become an icon in gaming. A constant talking point for anyone trying to analyze violence in video games. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. This is going to be a long video. I'm going to be exploring the entire Postal franchise. Yeah, the entire franchise, even this fucking mess. I could have broken this down into different videos. It would have been easier for me and it would have saved my sanity, but I wanted to make something very special. So feel free to watch this video in stages over whatever period you're comfortable with doing. This video isn't for the faint of heart. This video will cover some incredibly dark topics as well as some hilarious and outrageous ones. So grab yourself a coffee, get comfy, and let's have a look at the entire bloody Postal franchise. 1997, Postal was released. While the rest of the franchise is kind of like that dumb cousin who thinks haha head go boom is funny, Postal 1 is more like the sadist cousin that thinks the world deserves to burn because everyone bullied their waifu pillow collection. This version of Postal Dude has just been evicted from his house, has no money, and is in the middle of a mental breakdown where he's convinced that the government is poisoning him. So he decides to go on a homicidal rampage, killing everyone in his way.
Wicked.
Because of the rough, isometric, almost hand-drawn art style, it disarms how violent the themes of this game actually are. There's no real objective other than to kill, with the counter of hostiles remaining along the top, so we do just that, clearing the town of its entire population. You don't have to kill unarmed civilians to progress, you just have to kill a certain amount of hostiles, but I mean the game puts that damn population counter in the top left with the number ticking down with every kill. They know what they're doing, don't taunt me with that challenge, asshole, because I'll take it up. Every level transition shows a gritty, contorted splash screen with disturbed music and a quote that represents the twisted mental state of Postal Dude. This game is much less tongue-in-cheek with its representations of extreme violence, almost bordering on glorifying it more so than mocking it, similar to that pile of trash, hatred. Oh, why do people hate me? I don't know, maybe because you look like a pasty, hornless hellboy. At the truck stop, and the name of the game is the same, kill everyone to progress. The combat is your regular isometric shooter style, similar to a twin-stick shooter. Of course, it's set in America, so everyone and their mums is packing. From guns to grenades, the shooting is hectic, brutal, and violent. The art style is also something we have to talk about. I mean, obviously, it looks like ass, but I actually kind of like it. It's got a bizarre uniqueness to it that's almost immediately recognizable in its own weird way. It kind of reminds me of the good old browser-based games like The Last Stand, where the art style is rough but made to the best of a small team's ability. The HUD and UI is a sin against my eyeballs, even for 1997 standards. I mean, it works, but it's an insult to UI designers around the world. They did clean it up in the Redux re-release, so I guess they must have agreed. Back to the game, and there isn't really anything else to say about it. This is the bulk of the first game. We visit a shop, a villa, a water treatment plant, an urban town centre, progressively clearing out all living people from the local area. By the end of the game, with the world in ruin, we see the postal guy arrive at his final location, the last place left for him to go postal. The primary school. Oh god. Thankfully, his weapons have no effect. No matter what gun you use or how many rounds you fire, you can't harm the children. This was allegedly where the lead developer and co-founder of Running with Scissors, Vince, drew the line on violence. There was actually a huge scandal when a popular newspaper printed that you were able to kill the children and that the game is disgusting for it. Vince saw this and reached out to them, explaining that they were mistaken and asked them to reprint the truth. The news article just said, nah man, we don't want to do that. I guess the truth is less interesting than scandals and clickbait. But back to the ending. After a short while of desperately trying to destroy the school, Postal Guy keels over and collapses. Next, we get a narrated cartoon slideshow that concludes the end of the game.
Population pressure and the stress of modern life may cause an increase in violent tendencies. The urban environment is the incubator for all sorts of undesirable behaviors. However much his atrocities disgust us, he may actually consider himself a hero. This is common among those who, in the popular slang, go postal. The end, the subject has displayed all the classic symptoms of paranoid delusions. We may never know exactly what set him off, but rest assured, we will have plenty of time to study him.
Ooh, it was all because of the modern life. Very woke. Snapchat made me do it, I swears. I suppose the biggest problem with the ending is that it changes nothing. There's no twist, no great meaning, no big reveal. The events of the game were just supposed to be the actions of a mentally ill man, slaughtering multiple innocent people and ending up in an asylum. There's not even any representation of the damage his actions caused. There's nothing to represent that the violent rampage was anything other than an enjoyable slaughter. This, mixed with a mental illness plot and sprinkled with constant quotations glorifying the murders, it ends up leaving a slightly bitter taste in your mouth. You almost feel dirty. Don't get me wrong, I have absolutely no issues with violence in video games. I bloody love the other Postal games, and I even plan on making a very similar video for the Manhunt franchise at a later point, but I feel like all the other games do a much better job of using extreme violence as a case study for human behavior more than haha, mass killing, left funny. There has to be some form of reasoning behind it, or as I say, you end up with a mess like hatred. Neither game upset me in any way. I know it's all video game violence, it's just meaningless glorified violence.
You bastard! You're all gonna die.
This ending was completely swapped out in the recent Redux re-release of the game. Perhaps attempting to represent a potential school shooting wasn't the right vibe for our modern sensibilities. In place of this ending, the final level sees Dude arriving at a church. Making our way to the back of the church, we see a funeral taking place with no one there. Once the coffin lowers, the hostile is gone and the game ends. There's even an extra secret version of this ending if you finish the game on hard mode. This version sees Postal Dude standing with a woman watching a coffin lower into the grave with both parties looking distressed. There is a lot to unpack here. For the first ending, I think that this was potentially done to represent the aftermath of the dude's death. The original version of the game showed no consequence for his violent actions. His final scene at the graveyard could potentially be a flash forward to the future, showing his burial. A burial with no one around to pay him respects or show him love, being buried alone in the dark, miserable part of the world. Others have argued that this could mean the game was actually set in hell or a purgatory state, but I always feel like that's a cheap way out of explaining game endings. The second ending shows two people watching the coffin lower, the man of the party clearly being Postal Dude. One theory around this ending is that the Postal Dude from the first game is actually the dad of the protagonist from Postal 2, and what we're seeing is Postal Dude Jr. burying his mentally deranged father. This could even be used to explain the psychopathic tendencies of the second game. I, however, disagree with that ending because it wouldn't explain why they have the exact same voice actor and mannerisms. Clearly, Postal Dude from Redux and Postal 2 are the same person, just different imaginings of him. I, however, have a pretty damn good theory. In the final scene, no matter what, we see the dude in an asylum, with the doctors talking about what could have led to a breakdown of this scale. Was it the modern age or the busy city life, with the conclusion that they have all the time to figure this out. In the final scene, we can faintly hear a child's laughter as the coffin's lowered. Looking to the corners, we can even see a children's play area. Could the person being buried actually be the young child of the postal dude standing with his estranged wife? A tragic death coupled with the eventual separation of his wife and loss of his house could be the extreme cocktail of despair that breaks him mentally. This theory would actually give even more weight to the original ending of the game, where he arrives at a primary school but is unable to carry out his last act of violence. Seeing the children is a reminder of his loss and suffering, something he knows he can't inflict on other people. Of course, this is all loose theory, a game theory. Sorry, there's no right or wrong answer, but this is my theory, and I think it's an idea that nicely ties together all the chaos of the story into something with a bit more of a deeper meaning. There's even more gibberish in the co-op campaign about there being multiple postal dudes in one timeline breaking you out of the asylum, but I think that's just a throwaway plot to allow for multiplayer. I don't think the plot's meant to be taken seriously. Flash forward to 2003. Postal 2 is released to the world. Taking place over the course of a week, this version of Postal Dude is a more relatable, goofy, run-of-the-mill kind of mass-murdering psychopath. Gone is the grungy manifesto, in is the machine gun cat silencer. Yeah, the violence in this video game isn't meant to be taken seriously. The developers specifically said that a great effort was made to make the game more obviously comical, to prevent people taking it seriously like they had done for the first Postal game. It's still over the top and tasteless, but in a ridiculous, silly way. More importantly, the level of violence this time round is completely your choice. You can play catch with a decapitated head, or you can play the entire game without hurting so much as a fly. This was a genius design choice because it completely undermines all the criticism that the game could and would receive. And oh boy, did this game receive criticism. The game was banned in Australia, Germany, Sweden. It was also blamed as the cause of violence for multiple crime sprees, among other complaints. But their points were all moot because all of the violence in the game was optional, unlike the majority of games where killing people is required to progress. Considering this was one of the most controversial games of all time, it was one of the few action games out there that allowed a purely pacifist run, which is kind of hilarious. The context gives the violence in Postal 2 a lot of extra depth. It raises genuine questions about violence and its use in video games. As the tagline for Postal 2 goes, remember, this game is only as violent as you are.
I can tell this is going to be an interesting day.
Monday begins with a list of chores, which are as basic as they come. Pick up paycheck, cash paycheck, get milk. It's those relatable, mundane activities that really push the player into the chaotic actions that add the flavor. With the milk, you can either steal that shit and fight your way out, or you can wait in line in real time for each customer to pay before paying yourself and leaving. It's a pure tease the entire time. You sure you want to wait, huh? When you'd rather, I don't know, pull out a shotgun and blast everyone? No, wait in line. You're not a psychopath, think. WWJ. What would Jesus do? To get our paycheck, we have to head to work, which just so happens to be running with scissors. The people that made the game, Gameception. You love to see it. Roaming around the world, you'll often see running with scissors employees who actually help the player if you get into trouble, which is a nice little touch. Running with Scissors are a weird development studio. Specifically, back in the day, they were so sexual. Looking at their website now, it's just a normal indie developer website, but if you whack that puppy into the Wayback Machine, you get a look at what the site used to be, closer to softcore porn than anything else. Maybe they were just kind of playing into their bad boy public image, you know, Postal Babes were the big seller for a while, and I guess times change and they just knew that that wouldn't hit the same way anymore.
Tim, can you add like a real cool gory effect or like blood squirting everywhere?
Grabbing the paycheck, we're immediately told we're fired.
But I just started yesterday.
At the same time, the anti-video game protesters outside decide to prevent more video games being made by coming in and killing all the developers.
With me! Come on, everyone, follow me!
The irony here, of course, being that the majority of time, protesters usually end up doing more damage than good with their protests, albeit a bit on the nose. Now we have another decision to make. Do I cap the boss for being a dick, or protect the staff? Or do I just walk out and let them scuff it out between themselves? Obviously, I killed absolutely f***ing everyone. On the way to the bank, it only takes a few encounters with NPCs to realize they're oblivion tier.
So do you think video games are evil?
If it was up your ass, you'd know.
You're not really being too helpful here. Do you know what time it is?
coming?
But it was bound to happen. I mean, if anything, we should just praise that the game has interacting NPCs. Cashing the paycheck is another waiting game, or you know, the game will just spaz out like it did for me. The choice here is to wait in turn, at which point bank robbers will break in and attack you.
This is a stick-up!
Gotta hurt.
Or you rob the bank yourself and fight the police on the way out. The game does have a wanted system, but as you might expect, it's very basic. It's attack on sight or nothing at all. The wanted level is a small bar that goes up the more crime you commit, but this just increases the amount of time the police will hunt you. It doesn't increase the amount or type of police that will chase after you. You can get arrested and go to jail though. Game's got mechanics so deep, Kojima's jelly. Either way, once we get our money, we head home and finish the day.
Did you go by work?
Yeah, apparently I'm on sabbatical or something.
Well, good. Maybe you can get a few more things done for me.
Tuesday, tasks for the day: confess our sins, return the library book, get a signature from Gary Coleman, and get people to sign a petition. The petition has become synonymous with the game. For some reason, it just seems to be the most famous task. It also generates some great memes.
Okay.
Oh Lord.
It's completely random if people will sign or not. Repeatedly asking the same person will increase the aggressiveness, causing them to either scream and run away or sign out of fear. Much like a door-to-door salesperson, it's the perfect tactic.
Would you please sign my petition?
Returning the library book is straightforward. You just have to, no wonder people were upset about this game. You just have to drop them off in a box. On the way out, there's more protesters that set fire to the library, burn a book, save a tree. Genius level IQ. We make our way out to the burning building, fighting protesters and parkouring on bookshelves. Luckily, if you catch fire, the postal man pisses like a camel so you can set yourself out. Classy. Getting the signature from Gary Coleman, and yes, this was voiced by the actual Gary Coleman, may he rest in peace, is one of the weirdest video game cameos I've ever seen. The choice here is to either kill him and take a copy of his book or wait in line for a signature. A lot of the choices in this game kind of boil down to kill or wait in line. The social commentary is next level. If you choose to wait in line, the police break in and start to attack Gary for unclear reasons. Now we can either step aside and just leave them all, but of course Gary is our G, so we step in to help the boy out.
Only my friend understands me.
Or not. Never mind then, asshole. The confession task is in the far corner of the map, so it's likely to be the last one you'll tackle. Along the way, you pass some crazy locations with plenty of secret areas to discover. Postal 2 went to great efforts making every corner of this game worth exploring, with hidden Easter eggs, extra weapons, the whole 10 miles. This is like the Dark Souls of Postal likes. It's reminiscent of the good old Doom games, where you never know what secret weapon you'll find hiding on a roof or in a secret room. You can even find this weird hell area hidden under the milk shop, which has unique hellhounds and a fucking rocket launcher. It's weird, it's random, but it's great because it sets an important precedent. If you explore, you'll find cool shit. A great ethos for any game to have. Whoa, buckaroo, are you selling drugs here? Not on my watch. Back at the church and we confess our sins, getting a beautiful holy pardon. Or, you know, we can go postal and skip the queue. Al-Qaeda then attacked the church. Yeah, not joking. They pulled out all the stops here where we have to either kill them or run away. I'm not a huge fan of the random attacks that the game often uses to create intense scenarios. I think it's much better when the game naturally creates issues through gameplay rather than throwing a bunch of enemies at you. Of course, we ain't no pacifists, so we go scorched earth on their ass.
Did you get Gary Coleman's autograph? I can get a small fortune for it on eBay.
Right, a small fortune.
Wednesday, vote, get a Christmas tree, and piss on Dad's grave. That's rough, champ. First up, grabbing the tree. Luckily, our boy Jeeba steps in with divine intervention and shows us the way. This tree just so happens to be a redneck's favorite though, and he's willing to kill us to keep it.
What do you think we should do, Billy Joe Bob? We gonna do it here? Let's open his Christmas package early, Billy Joe Bob.
By this point though, we found the baseball bat, and it's game over because this is a god tier weapon able to bop everyone's dome off. As the week goes on, more and more people will get pissed off at you and start attacking you on sight, making free roaming harder as the week progresses. Oh, what did I say about running these streets? These are my streets now. Heading to the grave and looking at the environment, we find a small church and a grave, all of which looks very similar to the ending of the first Postal game. I think it's just a wink and a nod. This isn't Dad's grave, instead the name just says Zombie Dad, and if we actually pee on the grave, a zombie will come out that we can fight and kill. Upon arriving at the grave and beginning to water the flowers, you actually get knocked out by some rednecks. It turns out they've put you into a gimp suit because they want to have their way with you. Absolute nightmare fuel. Turns out we've been taken to the local brewery and we have to fight our way out. The area even has some parkour segments. After fighting our way out of the brewery and seeking righteous retribution for the gimp shaming, we have a new task: get our clothes from the laundromat. Grabbing the clothes is vital because they didn't oil up the gimp suit and Postal Guy is starting to chafe. You can either pay for the clothes or just kill the guy and steal them. The vote task doesn't really add anything to the game. You get a funny about how convoluted politics and voting can be, but that's about it, so we head the fuck home.
A Christmas tree! I can't wait to decorate it.
Yeah, it was pretty cheap since it's July and all.
Thursday, they introduce soldiers and SWAT into the world. These guys are much harder to kill. Okay, never mind. First up is paying our speeding ticket at the police station. Of course, I'm a man of the law, so I pay up.
That'll be $300.
Shit.
What the? Hey!
Next, dude needs some steaks for an upcoming barbecue, so we head to Meat World. Upon arriving, there's no one up front, so we head into the employees only section, where we accidentally stumble upon this interesting scene. Of course, we still needed the steaks, so human meat or not, we're grabbing that shit. Inside the steakhouse, we get scenery that looks exactly how Peter described it. They were right all along, it's rough. Dude fights all the way to the back where he picks up 5 steaks. Actual cow steaks, I should say, before leaving. Double kill. Along the way to grab the napalm, you might accidentally stumble across the asylum, and this is where shit gets weird. At the napalm factory, you can either purchase the napalm launcher or take it by force. Unfortunately, we blew all our money on the speeding ticket, so in we trot to get our napalm.
Oh man, that's fucking awesome.
At the back of the factory, we eventually find it. But as this happens, a worker, unfortunately having got access to my Google search history, vomits on a control panel, causing the destruction of the factory. First-person platforming makes an ugly return here. It's hit or miss to say the least, but I've definitely played worse first-person platforming levels. What the fuck was that? At one point, we narrowly avoid a very hand-animated rolling ball, Uncharted level set pieces. Eventually, we escape via the sewer system and make our way to safety. Next up is grabbing a Crotchy toy from the mall. Crotchy is a beast to fight with way too much HP. Man's like a bottle of HP sauce, for real. He has a small arsenal, including an unlimited rocket launcher. It's a tough fight, but one we must do for democracy! Once we find our way to the back and steal the last toy, that's Thursday finished.
I hope you found a bad touch crotchy. You won't believe what they're selling for online.
Oh, I got a crunchy, all right. Yep, definitely.
Friday, baby, the final day of the week and want to run its bin. Tasks for the day. Get a package, get an alternator for the car, and go see your uncle. It's simple enough, so let's start with the package. At the parcel center, it's pay or steal again. Paying for it will actually result in it blowing up when one of the clerks try to get it. Mysteriously, if you steal the package yourself, it won't explode. Postal dude, a package bomber confirmed. Either way, they're angry at us, so we give them some mood adjustments. Unfortunately, using our weapon of mass destruction, Postal dude realizes he's got gonorrhea. So the clinic is added to our list of tasks. The cool thing is, if you never peed at all in this final level, you wouldn't know, and so you wouldn't get the extra objective. It's a clever touch. The junkyard is close to the post office, so that's where we head next. Once here, you either pay 500 quid for the alternator, or you nick it. Stealing it will make Mike, the owner of the junkyard, attack the player. Now, normally, I'd love to pay Mike. He's a stand-up guy. He pays his taxes. He loves his wife and children. However, I don't have any dosh left, so I cave his dome in. Hakuna Matata. Money. It make it a world world would go round. Stealing the car parts and escaping the junkyard, you have to end life some doggo boys. And man, I can't be showing that, it's too much. All this violence, perfectly acceptable, but proper ending? Nah man. Here's a video of a doggo getting head rubs instead. You're welcome. Up next is Uncle Dave, and with the luck of Jeebus, the clinic is along the way, so we're able to grab some pills and cure our gonorrhea. Thanks, Doc. Now we can wee to our heart's content. Oh god, oh sorry man. Arriving at Uncle Dave's religious compound, we can see that there's a raid taking place with those two f***ing abominations taking the lead. Now we can either dash through the lines or murk everyone. Oh, well you got me. Arriving at Uncle Dave, we either give him the present or, you know, kill him. Nothing to see here, sir. After this last task, it's home time, and what a joy it's been. Really, it's all about the friends we made along the way. Oh, you are fuck. Pro strat for this section: if you chop your uncle's legs off, then run to the tank room and wait for him to bleed out. When the police attack the compound, you'll already be in the exit room, so they won't spawn. Big brain plays. Not this time, boo. After leaving the area, a newspaper pops up.
I'd expect a fancy cinematic to explain such a crucial story element.
From this point, every NPC will attack you on sight. The world is in pure chaos. It also starts raining cats with what is possibly the most annoying loot sound in gaming history. Now we only have one objective left: to make it back to our trailer in one piece. Fighting our way through town, we eventually make it back home before being treated to this final scene.
Honey, I'm home. You won't believe the day I've had.
About friggin' time. Did you remember my rocky road?
The cursed rocky road, the straw that broke the camel's back. 2 years passed, gamers were hungry for more. What is this Super Mario bullshit I see before my very eyes? I demand violence. Then, from the darkness, rose Apocalypse Weekend, nightmare section, zombies, demons to fight. This shit gets brazy.
All bow down and worship my ass cock!
The gore engine even got an update, allowing for new bladed weapons to more accurately cut people up. How kind. I understand why boomers are getting so upset when they hear this news. Continuing straight after the events of Friday, we heard a gunshot. I thought that was Postal Dude shooting his nagging wife, but it turns out we were just capping ourselves because we couldn't take the nagging anymore.
Oh man.
Waking up in the hospital, and the devs decided to actually animate a cutscene this time, as opposed to the in-game engine cutscenes we've seen up to this point. It's absolutely blurred. It looks like one of them creepy meme animations you find on deep YouTube. It's deep fried. Escaping the hospital, things get weird. Flicking between two realities, the normal hospital and a nightmare hospital filled with feral cats and demonic Garys. Do you know how weird it feels to kick a now dead man in the virtual head? It doesn't feel right. The demon Garys throw grenades, so the best way to beat them is to actually kick the grenade at them in midair. In pro strat. Oh look, it's a cat! The hospital gets progressively more corrupt until we get a full-on Silent Hill moment. Now I don't know if that was just coincidental, but I feel like that moment has to be a wink and nod to the franchise. Fresh out of the hospital and with a new downtown area to explore, the priority is of course food, so we head to the closest Chinese. To our surprise, the restaurant has been taken over by zombies because, you know, Postal.
Oh shit, mad cow Tourette's zombies.
So we have to clean up shop by smashing 20 domes in.
Biatch, yeah, holy shit, it's still coming. Mommy, eat this, you fuzz accumulating turd ball.
It's good that you actually have to crush the heads or they'll keep coming back. You can cut them to pieces and they'll still keep attacking you. You have to actually crush the head. They're mechanically better zombies than the majority of modern zombie games. Although at times, they 100% shoot you with nothing. Like they just f*** up the attack animations and shoot you with a gun sometimes, I swear. Being thorough cleaners, we make sure to bop everyone in the restaurant. Can't take any chances. Unfortunately, rendering 20 zombies at one time was apparently too much for the game when it was released, so instead you have to loop the restaurant until they randomly spawn in so they can be killed. It does slow down the pace of this mission a lot. Thankfully, the military turn up after this. What would we do without their expertise? Impressed with our zombie killing prowess, we get roped into being an infected cow cleaner.
Mad cow relocation engineer.
With the ever so slightly brutal goal of killing 21 cows with a sledgehammer.
Not a nice person.
The angry Pete alternative then begin to attack us, but we have to kill these cows. 'Tis the only way. After the cows are culled, the following mission was actually meant to be some elaborate pigeon relocation task, but the developers apparently ran out of budget, so instead we just have this weird cutscene.
Time to relocate some pigeons.
I told you no. What the hell you think this is? Friggin' bullshit. What do you got, Steve? Hold on.
Proposal for the pigeon mission.
Proposal for the pigeon mission? We ain't got no budget for pigeon missions. The f*** are you kidding me?
Vince, the kids. Gotta think of the kids.
Look at the quality of this video. You want enough? Hold on, I said.
Before cutting back to Postal Dude surrounded with blood, implying you've missed out on the most fun shit ever.
Wow, that was the most incredible thing I've ever done.
It is funny, but also kind of sad. Most of the expansion is already padding for time. Kill 20 zombies, kill 21 cows. So it's obvious they weren't providing the most robust expansion. It's hard to know if you should laugh at the cutscene or be outraged because, jokes aside, we paid actual human money for this. Vince, the creator of Running with Scissors, then calls us. Apparently they've fallen out with their publisher and want us to grab their award. This entire level appears to be made to spite Running with Scissors publishers for their shady tactics and stealing money from them. I don't think this was a real beef. I had my best men look into it and I couldn't find anything out about them falling out with their publisher at this time. I think it's just meant to poke fun in general at the greediness of the majority of publishers rather than any specific one. When we actually meet the CEO, there's money literally dropping from the sky, a huge safe filled with cash off to the left, and every time you hit him, he drops a stack of money. You get the point. Really publisher bad. It's a weird chaotic battle of rocket launchers and kicking rockets out of the air. Pure chaos. After getting the award, we wake up in Vince's house with an army of zombies invading the property.
The arsenal's open for business now. Come on, guys. Let's kick some zombie ass.
Again, it's mostly filler content. Killing 50 zombies in this small arena is just added to inflate the length of the game, and it goes on for way too long.
Well, Vince, it's been educational, but I gotta head back and rescue Champ from the pound.
Thanks for the help, man.
After leaving Vince's house, we find a guy that asks us to kill elephants so he can make basketballs out of them. If you hadn't noticed up to this point, it should be very obvious now that they had no idea how to string this game together. It's a series of loosely connected separate missions crammed together without any real care if it makes sense or not. The elephants are awful, the AI is whack, and that compressed, super loud trumpet they do made my ears bleed. They have the worst hitbox registration in video game history. Look at this mess. Look how many bullets are missing but still registered as hits. What the f*** is this? They did add falling tree mechanics. Wild. This is clearly where all the budget went.
Nice work. You made the children very happy.
We get another call from Vince. Apparently they decided to make Dude their lackey for plot progression. With a big game announcement in the works, they ask Postal Dude to get some explosives for a PR stunt. So the Postal Dude decides to head to Al-Qaeda to get some explosives. Oh dear. The camp is a basic military compound. I would almost be bold enough to guess that these assets weren't made for the level, but instead a reused asset, but don't quote me on that. After fighting our way to the core, the Americans carpet bomb the camp.
Look out! Ah! Run!
And that's it. We just have to walk back the exact same way we came in. I don't know who needs to hear this at Running with Scissors, but adding fire to a place we've already been doesn't make it new content. It makes it padding. Retracing our steps can be a great mechanic in video game. Hotline Miami implemented this perfectly, forcing us to walk to the car at the end of every level. This was done to show the extreme violent nature of the gameplay. Walking back through the building we just tore our way through, each room filled with blood and gore, you're able to reflect that you're actually a pretty shitty person. The fast beat of the intense music is stopped. There's very little sound now, and it's all very obviously done to drive home the violence that just took place. This is not the case in Postal 2. They clear up all the previous bodies and just add new enemies. Padding. Hilary Devey padding. We end up getting arrested and thrown into military jail. Bummer. Now we have to stage a breakout, but we got nothing on us except a box of matches and a Taliban cellmate. Oh, f***ing great.
Some matches and a highly flammable.
Breaking out of what I thought was a military base, but now looks more like a warehouse from the PS1 Aliens game, there are a ton of military men to fight through. It was actually an incredibly tense section, trying to run through, constantly under fire, evading the enemy with none of our gear, up until I found a machete. Then they became paper mache men.
All units are ordered to hunt them down.
I honestly couldn't tell you if that was scripted or not. Heading deeper into the base, we see some of the best lighting effects ever used in a video game. The base is okay, but I think the Postal games work best when there's some level of relatability. It was much more enjoyable going Postal in a bank or a shop because we've all been there. This section felt more like I was playing Half-Life than Postal. We find a mini nuke launcher at the end of the base, which you can actually shoot straight away, getting this bizarre cutscene. Sweet and to the point. Love it. Once you pick up the thermonuclear detonator, the world changes again. Another nightmare section, except this time the world is in what looks like nuclear ruin.
Okay, either my head wound is kicking in or some game designer was smoking crack.
I really like this scene. The low hum, the fire all around. Despite being a complete shit show, the game actually takes a second to reflect on the realities of nuclear war. Leaving the base, we see that the apocalypse has started again.
My brothers, we are being oppressed by the man and his zombies. Yeah! Why do you think he can hold us down?
Convenient. We have to place this bomb at the publisher's HQ as a final FU. We fight our way through the publisher's office again, place the bomb and leave. Conveniently, the Pound is just behind the office, so we decide to nip in and save Champ.
Hello? Looks like no one's home.
Arriving at the Pound, it's clear something went wrong, you know, aside from the apocalypse. In the basement, we get this cursed scene.
Attack, Prince! Attack! Yes, you will be a fine addition to my harem.
It seems the hillbillies have taken over shop for, I honestly don't know. I couldn't even begin to guess what's going on here. I don't want to either. Champ comes in clutch at the last second and saves the entire day. He was apparently hiding on the roof for just such an occasion. With our pooch in hand and the nuke armed, it's finally time to leave paradise, embarking on a quest across the bridge. The awkward, janky bridge. After crossing, our brain hams out one last time before this happens. This looks like fun. The boss is designed perfectly. It's a beautiful arena. The boss has complex AI with unique attack sets to memorize and learn. That's a complete fucking lie. It's dog shit. The boss is a legendary bullet sponge with 5,000 health points. It also periodically spawns heads that make it completely immune to damage. The heads were a neat idea at first, but paired with the complete bullet sponge is just dumb. The last thing this bitch needs is more health. It also throws infinitely spawning zombies into the mix. I imagine that was done because they know you'll run out of health and ammo no matter how much you bring into the fight, so they just add zombies for them item drops. After a long and uninteresting boss fight, we get a scene of dude driving away, detonating a nuke before uttering the famous last words.
I regret nothing.
This expansion takes a lot of steps back from the base game in some ways. It's far more linear, there's no more choices, you can't play as a pacifist, and the plot doesn't even attempt to be coherent, but it added the machete to the game, so even Stevens. As a whole, Postal 2 is offensive. It's ultra violent, it's rude, it's bash, it's roughly made, and it's outrageous. But it's all of these things openly and proudly. It's not meant to be taken seriously. Anyone who's offended by this game is falling for exactly what the developers wanted, to mock people that take video games too seriously. From the game start to its slightly rushed finish, it's more of a joke than an actual video game, but dear lord is it one hell of a ride. In 1 week, the Postal dude has been through it all. From 2 apocalypses, a zombie outbreak, to a nuclear bomb, Postal dude survived it all. He was untouchable, unkillable, unflinching, or so we thought, but no one was ready for what was to come.
The year 2007.
Postal 3's pre-alpha footage was shown to the world, featuring a new third-person view, massively improved graphics, and a small city to roam as you please. When I saw this as a kid, I was hyped, and so were a lot of people. It looked stylish, it looked violent, it looked like everything we wanted. Yeah, it's a little janky and the frame rate was low, but this was pre-alpha stage. That's to be expected. It would all be smoothed out before release, right? Right? 4 years passed without much news, but there were rumours, rumbles in the pipeworks of a troubled development. Then, in 2011, Postal 3 was released. The first and last game that wasn't developed by Running with Scissors, it was a huge stain on an already stainy franchise. The movement was clunky, the plot was all over the place, the game is a bug-infested hellhole. Yeah, Postal 3 was, and still is, a train wreck. The games weren't exactly known for being perfect cinematic pieces. I mean, you can see the head stumps popping out the back of most NPCs' heads, but they were made with passion, they were made with charm. This is not the case for Postal 3. It was developed by a subgroup of the game's publisher, a Russian studio called Trash Masters, which is just f***ing hilariously ironic given the state of the game. But when I first saw the pre-alpha gameplay, my psychopathic young brain was stoked. It looked sick. The problem was, in the years that followed, they somehow managed to make the finished game look worse than the pre-alpha footage. The 2008 economic crisis was to thank for this. The crisis hit the publisher badly, forcing them to lay off their best developers, their A team, and then they fired their B team, and then they fired their C team. Not a great strategy for the long run. Beginning a new game, we see Postal do directly after the events of Apocalypse Weekend back on the bridge for some reason. The game retcons Dude driving away, or it's just a second bridge a little bit down the road. I don't know. The in-game music is always either out of place or mixed in at weird levels. A lot of the time, all you can either hear is the soundtrack or there's absolutely no sound at all.
Surprise!
I died on this bridge. Then the entire control scheme stopped working, I could only run backward, and I had to restart the game. Not a good start. Naturally, learning the game's mechanics through gameplay is gone. Instead, we have red arrows and a heavily tutorialized intro, not really the Postal style we've come to know and love at this point.
If I weren't meant to play with fire, why'd God make it so damn fun? So that's what that smells like.
The first soldiers we encounter on the bridge set the tone for the kind of high-octane action we can expect from the game.
I know this looks bad, but I'm actually a very nice person. Bacon, bacon, bacon.
Before hard cutting to a complete cop-out.
Ranking commander appeared. I was impressed with the way I totally did not kill his men. He needed some help because apparently some lunatic was taking out all his guys.
Make sure nobody touches these bridge controls. Nobody!
There's no actual choice here, you have to press the button. I was half expecting some kind of alternative ending, Far Cry style, but what do you think this is, a decent game? Get out of here. After causing the bridge to flip, we move on to Catharsis, very clever name. Here, we get a job as a jizz tissue cleaner. The game keeps it classy all the way through. If you haven't noticed yet, this game is a cutscene simulator. Because development was a mess and they had a bunch of loose missions, they just cut them all together with a bunch of awkward, confusing cutscenes. It's painful.
Good to meet you, kid. You're hired.
All of a sudden, soccer mums attack, so you have to, you guessed it, reverse the Hoover into a cum cannon. There isn't nearly enough tissues for the amount of soccer mums, so you constantly have to run upstairs to hoover up more sticky tissues. How has my life even come to me uttering that sentence? Next, we have to catch HIV-infected cats. I'm not even going to try and rationalize how this all pieces together because it doesn't. It's a mess, so just enjoy the ride. Grabbing the cats drops us into a very small open world, which just makes me sad because here we get to see what the game could have been, but will never be because of botched development. The game was initially conceived as an open world, but that was later scrapped, and instead we have a small selection of larger areas to explore, loosely connected, and you can't return to previous areas. It's honestly irritating because you can clearly see what the devs were going for, but now it's just a husk. There's nothing to find, and you could clearly see that there are more parts of town or accessible buildings that once existed but are just blocked off now. After catching a few cats, the local Mexi sushi men attack. They're angry because we're stealing their food supply.
Too kindly to gaijin plunder and and their natural resources. But I really needed the cash. This was a cause that meant so much to me.
These annoying spawn in constant ways without end. It's such a joy to play through, but we eventually get all the cats and are transported to the mall where we have to defend a postal babe. This is where we get our first look at the player choice.
And make sure you use this.
Got it.
It's important that nobody gets killed during this little event.
Player choice kind of returns in this game, except this time it's replaced with a karma system and 2 different branching pathways. A game about complete moral ambiguity decided to implement a big fat good-bad compass. Not a great idea. Rather than being contextual changes with how you interact with the world, this new karma system actually has 2 branching pathways depending on how good or evil you want to be. Be a criminal or be a police officer, that's the basic of it. At the mall, we have to stop the soccer moms from killing the postal babe. Now we can either tase everyone, which finishes the mission, or we can kill them, which causes the police to attack you. But this doesn't actually decide the pathway yet. That comes in the next mission, which takes place at a bank. Postal dude goes there to get a loan when an eco-terrorist cult attacks. Remember when it just happened naturally as part of the gameplay? Well, here it's implied in another cutscene.
The ecotologists were an extremist save-the-earth cult, sort of a zesty blend of PETA and Scientology. Anyway, they were apparently executing an armed fundraising drive. Surprisingly, the cops showed up within seconds and the whole thing instantly devolved into chaos.
Now we're told to make our choice, good or bad. Help the cops, help the robbers, or kill everyone, which the game registers as helping the robbers and ignores your killing spree anyway. Depending on which side you choose to help will place you on the good or bad pathway. I'll begin with the good, then I'll cover the bad. Having made our decision, we help the police clear out the bank. The shooting in this game is actually pretty decent. Health auto-regens over time. There are no health pickups or crack pipes. Auto-regenerating health removes all tension from a game because there's no consequence for over-aggressive play. Just sit in a corner and wait for it to recharge like a shitty solar-powered murderer. There's a reason games like COD have it, because it's for filthy casuals. After killing the weaponized Badger Man, we're welcomed into the police force. Lieutenant Douchebag then begins our training, beating up homeless people. Woke social commentary. You can either arrest people, which is a nice touch. It doesn't do anything, you don't gain any extra karma or unlock any awards, but hey, a working mechanic is an achievement for these guys.
It seemed the Hobos Union was upset with our treatment of the volunteers. The lieutenant ordered me to fight my way to the chief's, special place in the basement and protect him.
So now we have to save the police station, and I'm still not exactly sure how the morality system works. I think we can use lethal force if they have guns. I don't think that's considered bad. In the yard, we get to see why the police force is such a force to be reckoned with. Before culling a small town's worth of human beings. Finding our way through the police station, players will quickly realise that this shit is Order 66, Attack of the Damn Clones. When I finished this level, the game actually told me I'd been kicked off for too much friendly fire.
Not amusingly, the lieutenant was furious about all the friendly fire and threw me off the force. My police career ended before it even began.
But then immediately hard cut to me being a qualified police officer.
What? You knew I was going to say it.
I'm unsure which part glitched here, but either way, we are man of the law now. Our first mission, patrolling the town, without any context or briefing. You'll love to see it. There's also no map, so when the objective tells you to head to the mall, it's a guessing game as to which damn direction that is. Oh my god. Nice invisible wall, man. Fucking kill me. With a few more crimes cleaned up, we realise that the Taliban are attacking. Where would this franchise be without them?
What? No f***ing way that's going down on my watch. Come here, Ayatollah. Let's see your green card.
Damn, man, the covering system is just OP. With the first day of policing done, we get called in to help Uwe Boll, the director of the Postal Movie. You either kill him or defend him. The game basically says if you don't like his movie or work, you're a pizza-stained nerd, but we'll get into that later. The game insults the shit out of him, but doesn't have the balls to double down on it.
You stupid f***! You let my camera get broke! I ought to sue you, asshole! But first, we have boxing match!
Now some nerds have taken over the arcade. We have to head in and clear them out. Here the game introduced Sergey, who apparently wears breathable metal chains. Oh, what a modern world we live in, my droogs. Dare I say, the arcade level was fun. There's a techno tune beat and plenty of bad guys to kill. It's kind of like an early Doom. Maintaining good karma is very difficult here, mind. When all the fucking dumbass civilians literally run into your fire and get their domes blown off. But what can you do? Every agency accounts for collateral. With the arcade secured, Trash Master realized that they hadn't offended Mexican immigrants yet. Not being happy with this thought, they send us to Border Patrol, where the game crashes so much. It's a wave defense mission, nothing special, but it's Trump's dream. The next mission sees us killing some angry lab monkeys or something, who knows, shit game. I'm just glad we're out of Crash Town. This level actually has a boss, a mad rhino.
I wasn't paid to think. One scientist was using some sort of remote-controlled monkey to trick the crazy rhino into bashing his brains out. Seemed like a decent plan.
That can only be harmed by running into 4 containers, or at least it would if the boss actually fucking worked. There's no sound, the laser pointer doesn't work, the AI is broken. This is what you can expect from the boss. I'm literally inside him. What is this Ace Ventura shit I see? Oh, what a fucking battle, Christ. They couldn't even animate the monkey's face. What is this? I'm in actual hell. Random ads are spliced into the cutscenes as well from this point.
Chased the guy out of sight, but I was confident that street thug would not escape justice.
It never explains why, and I have no idea what they were going for. I guess random loud noise equals funny. Nothing especially interesting happens in the plot up until we're tasked with joining the SWAT team, accompanied with an AIDS joke and a literal ha-ha.
Sure, as long as you don't mind that it's filled with AIDS-infected monkey semen.
Very cool. As SWAT, we have to clear out the eco-terrorist base. It's fun for a while. As usual, it falls into the trap of having way too many enemies to kill. You end up waiting around for them to spawn in just so you can kill 50 of them and progress. It's done to pad out time, but it just makes the level boring by the end. After killing all 50 eco-freaks, the main house opens up and we're able to arrest their leader, this guy. The gay rodeo is next, involving a copy and paste of the crazy rhino boss fight. May whoever designed this boss burn in hell for all eternity. It's just so stupid. Look at it. I'm not even doing anything. It's just killing itself. It has no idea when to register a wall hit or not. It's beyond broken. And no other type of damage hurts it. At least let us shoot the bastard.
And done.
Now we're in the Secret Service because f*** it. This introduces the biggest new development of the game, the Segway. And what a unit it is. This was the worst few moments of my entire life. Never mind, it gets worse. Hell, I'm just amazed they even managed to get the thing working in game. Clearly they were left over from when the game was meant to be a larger open world to allow for quicker traversal, but now we get an escort mission instead. Is there no justice in this world? And what the fuck are you doing up there?
I hope I didn't catch you at a bad time, but either you can pay up for all that plutonium I sent you, or I will reclaim this amusement park in the name of Allah. Capiche? Security!
Is there a problem here?
Ooh, a conspiracy plot. Twist of the century. If I gave a single fuck about that game, that might be interesting. Don't forget, people, I'm not cutting out plot points from you. This is the game's story.
I'm with you, man. Don't leave me!
The theme park is the final level of the game, killing everyone on our way out while trying to hunt down Dave, Bin Laden and Ron. Give me strength. I love how the game is so incoherent, it has to give a fat text dump before every level starts, just so the player can have any kind of inkling as to what's going on. Optional, don't kill Teges. I assume that's spelt wrong on purpose, but honestly, who knows with this game. We eventually corner the 3 boys and we get this scene.
Dave, the mayor, and Osama realized they would never get out of the park alive. They decided to detonate their homemade nuke rather than be ripped to shreds by an army of furious hockey moms.
What are you doing, you retarded asshat? Install the damn plutonium and blow us the fuck up!
I'm no expert, but that plutonium looks like a bottle of urine to me.
Wait, what? F you. Yeah, f you, traitor. Hey, wait. We totally forgot we have guns. Holy shit, you're right! F martyrdom. Let's just kill that asshole instead!
And the most epic battle in gaming history ensues. Osama, Ron, your uncle, who is there for some reason the game never really explains, all fall one by one until your enemies are crushed. And then the Venezuelan army invades. Seeing this chaos unfold, the postal dude decides he wants nothing to do with it, and so we have to make a mad dash to escape the city. This escape is the worst moment in the game, or at least one of them. Look at this fucking mess. Earlier when I said they removed healing items and replaced it with auto regen, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if this one single mission caused that. There's even references to using healing items when dude is low on health, so it was clearly in the game at one point, but I don't think they could balance the mess and just said fuck it, free health for everyone. Final boss of the game is a tank.
Oh man, not a final boss fight. I hate final boss fights.
Oh boy, this is going to be fun. Though it is of course broken because the tank driver apparently had too many lewds and falls asleep at the wheel. What is this fucking game? Honestly, 10 out of 10. Too much water. After saving America, we become president because you know how it is. It do be like that.
That's the story of how I saved America from the socialist menace.
That's amazing. And of course by now everyone knows the reception you got.
Yeah, that whole dude mania thing was frankly a bit embarrassing, but I couldn't disappoint the fans.
And those fans swept you into...
my final crappy temp job? President of the United States.
The game ends with a few stills of Postal Dude in the White House before hitting the big red nuclear button, and this is the good ending. What a mess.
So funny.
I will regret nothing.
Now for the evil playthrough, but don't worry, don't click off the video. I'm not going to go into great detail about every level on the evil side. You know exactly what kind of game this is, you know what its flaws are, and you know why people dislike it so much. So instead, I'll summarize all of the key points of the evil playthrough. Ready? After siding with the ecologist and assisting in their armed fundraising drive, dude kills the police, after which they invite him to meet their leader who asks him to pick apples. Al-Qaeda attacked the orchard, so armed with beehives and a badger sword we messed their shit up. We run into Champ who gets arrested for killing too many homeless people, so we end up killing some Mexi sushi people with a laser pointer because fuck you, don't interrupt me again, I'll slap you silly. Now we're a Segway repo man and we have to reclaim some unpaid for sex. Now we have to help the mayor man escape the paparazzi while he's trying to sneak in his little sex slave boy. Dear old man, that's a pickle, isn't it? Better clean up the evidence. We've infiltrated an animal testing lab and let our little eco buddies in to free some animals. Yeah, stick it to the man. Now we're in Mexico because Uncle said some stuff and we're throwing footballs over the American border because sports, but the police don't like it because freedom, so we remove their heads because Mexican freedoms. Unfortunately, we get arrested. No more freedoms. In jail, our eco friends are like, hey, this isn't very lit, maybe we should leave. So we leave real quick like and end up finding Crotchy. Hey, it's Crotchy. Remember Crotchy from the second game? Oh, he's not a friendly Crotchy. Shit, time to kill him, I guess. Now we're at the rodeo cleaning up some shit with a Hoover. Now there's another shootout. Gotta help our buddies and kill the police, but oh, there's meth right now. Not again. No. Now we're walking through the town and we find a trailer of Champ's dog shit. Ending up in the grotto underground, we see that Al, our eco leader, has actually been scamming us and instead is selling the animals we saved to meat the Mexi sushi, which he owns, you bastard. Now we get tasked with bringing plutonium today for some cash, so dude pisses in a pot and sells it today. Then we accidentally play Ron's sex tape when he's on stage, causing all hell to break loose, so we have to run away. Then all the bad people are killed in a cutscene by soccer mums. The game then literally says, if you don't like how shit this ending is, you should play the good ending. What the f? After escaping, we're arrested by the police who execute us and we end up in hell. What a fucking game. Despite being a game about going postal, the game clearly puts far less effort into the insane playthrough. It has less content and the ending is basically just, we don't care that it's shit, play the good ending if you want something interesting. It's bizarre. You can also get a neutral ending. This ending sees Postal Dude leaving without any conclusion to the story before running into Jennifer, who he marries, then he wins the lottery, and then he writes a best-selling book. Yeah, it's not a joke. That's actually what happens. Each pathway takes about 4 hours to complete, with the good playthrough taking slightly longer and having more content. At the time of recording this, only 15% of players have actually finished the game. Considering it's 3 to 4 hours, it's kind of rough, but it's to be expected. If this video accidentally made Postal 3 look fun, I apologize. I have misled you. It is not. Is it the worst game ever made that deserves to rot in the deepest layers of hell? No, it's probably not that bad either. It has some enjoyable moments and some chuckles. The problem is that those few moments are plastered together with this buggy, incoherent mess of a game that was clearly slapped together as a last-ditch effort of a dying company. You can see at times what the developers were going for. In an alternative universe without money issues and more time in the oven, this could have been a really good Postal game. Maybe not a really good game, but a good Postal game. The developers do get a lot of hate online, with people genuinely being angry at them, but what the hell were they supposed to have done? Development is extremely hard, let alone doing it for a failing company that have no idea what direction to take the game in and keep firing and getting new, cheaper development teams in. It was bound to fail, so bear that in mind before you begin to hate on the developers. Instead, we should be hating the banks for the 2008 economic crisis, those blighters. They made Postal 3 fail to distract us, guys, but we're not sheeple, We know. Oh, we know.
No, you cannot miss what you have never seen before. But deep inside, you know there must be more.
Let's wash our hands now and get that dirt off, moving on to the next part of our video. Back to Postal 2, baby! What? That's crazy. You're damn right. Now, I've talked enough about Postal 2 to last a lifetime, but there's an important point I need to talk about. After the disastrous launch of Postal 3, Running with Scissors decided to release a huge expansion for Postal 2, adding an entire new week of content and, best of all, completely retconning the events of Postal 3.
I regret nothing.
He awakens with a shock. It was all just a horrible nightmare.
The developers said they were making this expansion to make amends because they were so gutted with how bad Postal 3 was. You know, by making a paid DLC. They even removed Postal 3 from their website, leaving this hilarious shitpost. Paradise Lost is set 11 years after the events of Apocalypse Weekend. After detonating the nuke, Champ jumps out to chase a cat, and Dude's head injury acts up, causing him to crash the car. Now Paradise is a wasteland, and we have to learn how to survive it, much like that other open-world post-nuclear apocalypse game. Wasteland. Throughout the week, you'll search for Champ, help the citizens with various tasks, and garner support from Bin Laden. Why is he here again? Finally, you'll finish your week with a trip to hell. Fighting deeper into hell until we find Champ and fix his hell-houndedness.
Champ, you're okay.
Tragically, it turns out that your wife, the one that nagged you into shooting yourself, well, unfortunately, she didn't die in the nuclear explosion. After mutating into a giant nagging monster, this is the final boss of the game, and really, I think it's a great full-circle way to end the Postal 2 story by blowing that nagging wife into smithereens.
You haven't achieved a single thing in your worthless life! You're nothing but a deadbeat! You were a terrible husband, you couldn't hold a job, you couldn't perform in bed, you couldn't even complete a simple list of chores! And worst of all, you never brought me my rocky road!
After this, there are two endings, one where Postal Dude rules over Paradise.
And so, with the defeat of the last faction leader, the last obstacle standing before the Postal Dude fell. With none left to oppose him, he would become the ruler supreme of this lost paradise. He was no longer a mere man or dude, for he was forever to be revered in the eyes of the people as the Postal God. And that, kiddies, concludes our tale. Tune in next week, same time, same place, for the continuing adventures in the life of the Postal Dude.
And one where he leaves it and it gets nuked again. Can there please be one bloody game where nukes aren't involved in the ending?
So, the Postal Dude and his loyal companion Champ, as they took one last look back at the town that challenged them this long week, they knew there was something to be learned from their experience. They came face to face with a true demonstration of the tenacity of the human spirit. The people of this town rose from the ashes of a nuclear apocalypse, dusted themselves off, and soldiered on. They're a true testament to the resolve and determination of humanity. And deep in their hearts, our two heroes knew that the denizens of this town were going to be just fine in their little slice of paradise. Or maybe not.
F them. Come on, champ. We got adventures waiting elsewhere.
At the time, no one knew which ending was canon, but with our modern brains, we now know that the nuke ending is canon. He leaves Paradise once and for all. No, I said once and for all the first time, shut up. There are some great jokes and third wall breaks in this add-on, like a room containing the average Postal 3 fans. Zach Ward, the actor from the Postal movie, even makes an appearance.
You better watch your tongue, for you're standing in the presence of greatness. I am Zach Ward.
As with the base game, you can tell it's just a video game made with passion for people to just be stupid and have a laugh with. As a DLC for a super old game, it added a lot. New weapons, the ability to dual wield, and a decent story that finally manages to wrap up the Postal 2 story.
And remember, whatever you do, have no regrets.
With the past out of the way, it's time to look to the future, and I'm happy to say the future looks bright, or red, however you want to put it. On October 2019, the super janky alpha build of Postal 4 was released. Following directly from the events of Paradise Lost, Postal 4 sees dude arriving at Edison. His car's nicked and he has no dosh, so the player finds themselves taking on any old jobs they can find for cashola. The game is still in early access, and while it's already got a lot of content, it's all subject to change, making any kind of analysis at this stage a waste of time. If this video does well, I'll happily revisit Postal 4 when it's a finished game with a full breakdown. If you want to see that, let me know in the comments down below. I got this game when it was first released, and in such a short amount of time, it's come a really long way. From only 3 tasks in one day, the game nearly has a full week, and the potential is looking great. You're clearing out sewers, managing prison riots, inspecting dams, cleaning up shit, and they even brought back a version of the famous petition task. Shit. You can swap between first person and third person views. It's definitely the best choice. Let the player select their preference. The combat is satisfying, it feels weighty, and the gore effects are good. Overall, it's a fun shooter, probably the best in the Postal franchise so far. You can free roam the town as you please and tackle the tasks in whichever order takes your fancy. It's a return to everything that made Postal 2 work. In fact, the game originally began development as a complete remake of Postal 2. They had planned on calling it Postal 2x2, but instead they decided to double down and make an entirely new game, which I think is definitely the better choice. Until it's out of the alpha build, all I can say about the game is that it's making the right decisions. It's updating regularly, it's keeping fans in the loop with regular and clear update posts. You can't ask for more from an early access game. It's one I'll keep a close eye on, and I sincerely hope they don't f it up. But as I said, I'll revisit this once it's finished, so make sure you hit the like button if you want to see that.
Bitch! Moron. One side.
So that's the video game collection out of the way. What else is there to talk about? Oh yeah, the movie. I watched the entire movie just so I could write this review.
Hi, I'm Crouchy. I'm a boner.
It's a mess. I wanted to like it so bad. All the reviews are like, oh, ignore the hate. It's a true Postal film, which is true. It is very similar to the Postal games, but a video game like Postal does not translate well into a movie, in my opinion at least. It has some moments that are funny in a crazy way, but it mostly just falls flat. Case in point, the cat silencer. Watching it in a movie is just embarrassment. They also didn't want to double down on the cat being killed, so the Postal dude just takes the cat off and it walks away completely fine like nothing happened. It's a damn fever dream. Apparently, the animatronic of that cat cost 45 grand to make and was only shown for 2 seconds. That is poor decision making. The main plot is about Bin Laden and Bush working together, making money by insuring items and then blowing them up, while the Postal guy working for a religious cult inadvertently gets involved with their plot to destroy the world. It's your typical haha terrorist bad with Nazi jokes thrown in there for I genuinely can't even remember what that reason was. It really does seem to take inspiration from the worst parts of the franchise. The movie picks up in the second half and becomes somewhat engaging, but the first half was tough work. It's directed by Uwe Boll. He's known for making somewhat iffy video game movie adaptations like Blood Rain, Far Cry, and The House of the Dead. Apparently, he even physically boxed any critics that called him out on his work. The absolute Chad director. I could and probably will make a full video in the future about his entire collection of work. He's a wild one, but I don't think he wants to be taken too seriously. He actually cameos in the movie and just rips himself apart. It's one of the best moments of the film.
There are all that rumors out that my movies are financed with Nazi gold, and what should I say? It's true. But somebody must do something with the money.
Do you know that my father died in Auschwitz?
My grandpa died also in Auschwitz. He fell from a watchtower.
It also managed to get roles for Vern Troyer, may he rest in peace, and J.K. Simmons somehow. There's a short scene in the movie where the Postal guy accidentally runs over and kills a baby for no reason. There's no joke, no follow-up, anything. It's just cut into the middle of the movie, out of nowhere. Like, what the f*** is that shit?
What the hell is that?
Zach Ward, the actor portraying Postal Guy, I think he does an amazing job of it. Considering what he had to work with, he really pulls off the character. He has that defeated but optimistic crazy mindset down to a T, and I couldn't imagine anyone else playing the role. They tried to kickstart Postal 2, releasing one of the weirdest and most uncomfortable GoFundMe videos I've ever seen.
We just love Uwe Boll. His ability to beat up scrawny journalists in the ring. His German accent, which is impossible to understand. We don't care that his last name is Hitler.
It tries to be self-deprecating as a funny, but it feels as if everyone in the video was forced to make it at gunpoint with their family in danger. It gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Didn't the original Postal movie cost like $20 million? What the f did he spend $20 million on? He must have embezzled most of that. Is he even smart enough to steal? He can't possibly be a worse thief than a director.
There's also a Doom-style speedrunning game being developed. That's made by a different studio again called Hyperstrange. They're franchising the IP again. Hopefully it goes better than last time. It looks okay. It's massively out of place for the Postal brand. It's not really a Postal game. It's just using their IP, I think. But I mean, good luck to them. It looks like a lot of fun. Hopefully people will think it's sick. The gameplay looks smooth and exciting, and I honestly wish all the best success for the team involved.
Hi there, would you like to sign my petition?
Go away.
So here we are at the end of the video, and what a ride it's been. The Postal franchise is a roller coaster of highs and lows, of pure genius and pure disgusting trash. For right or wrong, it's left behind a huge legacy of bizarre violence and controversy. It raises some great questions about violence and its application within video games. Sometimes they pull it off very well, other times their hinge be a bit rusty, but they damn well try. The franchise has spanned over 24 years, 5 games, and entertained millions with its stupid, over-the-top violence, and I'm honestly not sure if I'm proud or ashamed to have played every single game multiple times in the making of this video, or what it says about my mental health state, but here we are. If you want to reward my valiant efforts and the unimaginable hours that went into creating this video, I'm gonna have to insist you hit subscribe. Plenty more videos like this planned if this one's a success, so please hit like, leave a comment, anything at all. I know only 2% of people will last this long, but jokes aside, I really do appreciate you taking the time to listen to one loser rant about video games for well over an hour. You're a real one, and I hope to see you on another video. Take care. Bye bye.